Good afternoon from the International Space Station Flight Control Room at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Flight controllers belonging to the Orbit 2 team under the direction of Flight Director Marcos Flores are working with Japanese flight controllers across the globe at the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, or JAXA's flight control room, in advance of the departure of the H-2 transfer vehicle, or the HTV-9. Currently positioned at the end of the station's Canada Arm 2, the robotic arm HTV-9 is ready to be released, completing its 3-month stay at the complex. The spacecraft launched from the Tanegashima Space Center in Japan on May 20th, arriving May 25th to deliver about 4 tons of supplies and experiments to the orbital complex, including new lithium-ion batteries that were used to upgrade the station's power systems. The new technology batteries were installed through a series of spacewalks.
In step 5, where we go for HTV release on time, we'll pick up at 17:34.
Good copy.
You are currently seeing a live view of the workstation in the cupola, where Expedition 63 Commander Chris Cassidy of NASA will be standing by to monitor the spacecraft's departure. Earlier this morning, robotic ground controllers here in Houston sent commands to unbolt the HTV from the Earth-facing port of the Harmony module, where it has resided since its arrival in May, and detach the HTV from Harmony to place it in the correct position for its upcoming release at 12:35 p.m. Central Time. Today you're watching the final robotic operation for the HTV-9, the last of its genre. Named Kounotori, the Japanese word for white stork, HTV for the past 11 years served as an unpiloted cargo transporter launched by JAXA's H-2B launch vehicle. In total, the 9 HTV spacecrafts delivered more than 40 tons of food, supplies, and new lithium-ion batteries to crews living and working on the International Space Station. Once released, HTV-9 will conduct a series of departure burns to move it to a safe distance from the station. NASA's Chris Cassidy will be responsible for firing the trigger on the Canada's end effector, or the hand, to release HTV and send it on its way. He will be backed by Russian crewmate Ivan Wagner. Through that command, the snares on the robotic's arm latching in effector, essentially the hand of the robotic arm, will open and we will begin to see separation of the HTV from the station. The spacecraft will start to slowly drift away and controllers here will begin to retract the arm. This view of the workstation inside the cupola is called the cuckoo, and it provides telemetry of the HTV throughout its departure. On the bottom right, you can see a value, VV to ISS, that will be the approximate range in meters and rate at which in which it is departing the station. This will be a slow process, but once it is released, there will be a series of 2 burns to get it outside of the keep-out sphere and into its next milestone, the approach ellipsoid. Before today's departure, ISS program manager Joel Montalbano spent a moment offering his thoughts about the contribution to station operations made by JAXA's HTV cargo crafts.
Over the past 11 years, the H-2 transfer vehicle, Kounotori, has delivered over 40 tons of cargo, research, hardware, and equipment to the International Space Station. Most recently, they've delivered lithium-ion batteries, new batteries that we are using to upgrade our power system on a world-class laboratory that benefits nations across the globe. I want to congratulate Japan on the HTV missions, on the 9 missions of this current generation vehicle. NASA is working closely with JAXA on the next generation vehicle, and we look forward to that vehicle delivering supplies to the International Space Station, and we look forward to increasing international cooperation with Japan as we continue exploration of low Earth orbit, back to the Moon, and to Mars. Thank you very much.
Today you're watching the final robotic operation for HTV-9, the last of its genre. Named Kounotori, the Japanese word for white stork. For the past 11 years, HTV vehicles have served as unpiloted cargo transporters, launched by JAXA's H-2B launch vehicle. In total, the 9 HTV spacecrafts delivered more than 40 tons of food, supplies, and new lithium-ion batteries to crews living and working on the International Space Station. You are currently seeing a live view of the International Space Station Flight Control Room. Flight Director Marcos Flores and Capcom Norishige Kanai. Kanai, a JAXA astronaut and veteran space flyer, was a part of the Expedition 54 and 55 crew. This is currently a live view from Scuba Japan, the HTV flight control room. Here they are monitoring the spacecraft, the HTV, as it departs the station. Expedition 63 Commander Chris Cassidy of NASA is standing by in the cupola module and monitoring the spacecraft's departure. Cassidy will be responsible for firing the trigger on the Canadarms end effector to release HTV and send it on its way. Through that command, the snares on the robotic arm's latching end effector, currently the view you see, essentially the hand of the robotic arm, will open and will begin to see separation of the HTV from the station. The spacecraft will start to slowly drift away, and controllers here will begin to retract the arm. Standing by for release. Snares are open. A successful 12:36 p.m. Central Time release off of western Quebec, Canada. The Canadarm2 backs away slowly. A successful 12:36 p.m. Central Time release off of western Quebec, Canada. There are a couple of milestones we will see HTV-9 meet this afternoon.
Houston Station, an HTV retreat has been commanded and the phased elapsed timer has been started.
Houston copies.
HTV-9 will conduct a series of departure burns to move it to a safe distance from the station. The first milestone will be to cross the keep-out sphere, which is an imaginary boundary around the station with a 200-kilometer radius. It will keep heading away from the station and will stand by until it makes its way out of the approach ellipsoid, a final marker that signifies a visiting vehicle's final departure out the neighborhood of the International Space Station.
Station Houston on 24 HTV. Safety net enabled.
We're about 1 minute out from that first burn.
Station Houston on 24 HTV. IDM-1 maneuver loaded. Monitor per step 2 in 1.602.
Copy, we're in step 2 of 1.602.
First departure maneuver underway.
Station Houston on 2 for HTV. IDM-1 maneuver complete. Verify per step 3 in 1.602.
IDM-1 complete. Verify in step 3 and work.
You just heard a call about the IDM-1, the first of 2 burns to get out of the keep-out sphere. That 5-second burn got us closer to reaching the keep-out sphere imaginary line. The second burn, or the IDM-2, is about 10 minutes later and will be about 14 seconds long.
Houston Block 3 complete. Nominal.
Houston copies.
You are currently seeing a live view of the computer screen on board the space station. This view of the workstation inside the cupola is called the cuckoo, and it provides telemetry of the HTV throughout its departure. On the bottom right, you can see a value, VV to ISS, that will be the approximate range in meters and rate at which it is departing the station. We are currently about 30 meters away from the ISS, or the International Space Station. This will be a slow process, but once it is out of the keep-out sphere, well, there will be another burn to get it outside the keep-out sphere, and that will be here shortly in about 4 or 5 minutes. After the second departure burn, Kounotori 9 will pick up a little speed to get out of the keep-out sphere, the imaginary boundary around the station with a 200-kilometer radius. Again, a great release at 12:36 p.m. Central Time. HTV is now in retreat mode, approximately 39 meters away from the International Space Station. This will be the final station departure of JAXA's first-generation Kounotori, or White Stork, cargo craft, 9 of which have delivered more than 40 tons of supplies to space station crews. JAXA is developing a new fleet of HTV cargo craft, the HTV-X, which is targeted for its first launch in 2022.
Station Houston on 2 for HTV IDM-2 maneuver loaded. Monitor per step 4 in 1.602.
Copy, we see IDM-2 monitoring block 4, step 4.